Hello friends, and thank you so much for tuning back into Glam Life. This is Kristen, and today I'm just bringing you, as promised, the natural spotlight look at main attraction Broadway in the color Chestnut. This is such a beautiful color, and as you can tell out here in the light, it is that dark medium brown, but then you've got just ever so beautiful, I would say hints of auburn going on with this. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sorry, my eyes are super sensitive to the sun, especially when the garage is so dark. Beautiful auburn highlights and lowlights going on with this one. And I think that makes it really spectacular. It's a beautiful, beautiful shade. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what it looks like in the sun. I really wanted you guys to see it because it's so important with this one. It's really dynamic, and I wanted you to see it in the sun so that you get an idea of what I'm talking about. For those of you that might have thought, that it was so dark under my LED lighting. But as you can tell, in the natural lighting out here, it's really, really, really pretty. And it's definitely not as dark out here, even under this kind of lighting. It's not as dark as it is inside. I think that really gives a nice look right there because you can really see all those highlights going on. So pretty. Love it. Absolutely love it. This one does not disappoint. I have yet to find a Broadway that disappoints. Let me get my SUV here. I have yet to find a Broadway that disappoints. It's just really amazing. I mean, it's just like beautiful colors. It's just really, really natural. And I like this one because it's your deep dark brunette with just the right amount of auburn mixed in. I guess I need to start the car before the bugs decide they want to come in. It's still so hot. Yeah, this one's super pretty. Settle for. Sorry. It's super, super pretty. I mean, it's like, and I'm really loving it with the clip. I don't know why I never tried the clip before on this one, because the bangs are long enough to do a clip. But I really like it that way. I think it's pretty. What do y'all think? You think that's cool? I think it makes it look natural. So that's why I love hair clips. That's why I keep telling you guys. I rave about it all the time. I need to turn this air down just slightly. I rave about it all the time because that is the best way. Those of you that are concerned about somebody thinking you're wearing a wig, which I'll be very honest, I don't care what people think. People will think all kinds of crap about me. They have my entire life. I just smile. I just smile and say, have a great day. Because you know what? People want to take out their upset and their anger and their frustration on somebody else. My mom told me that, and I didn't believe it in my 20s because I was always picked on for my weight, and I didn't believe it. And I got mad because I didn't believe it. But I have learned now, like I said, especially being in customer service, I have learned more than anything that people will take out there's always something going on in somebody's life, and they will take it out on whoever it is. Doesn't matter if they know you or they don't know you. It's just you're there at that moment, and they will take it out on you. So I don't care what people think. That's why when I first started wearing wigs, I put on the wig. I'm trying to think what my very first wig was. I think it was like a Raquel Welch tress was the first wig I ever got in the mail. before my sister sent me the beautiful orchid, which I just adore. I think it was like a Raquel Welch tress, and I just put it on, and I literally went out to dinner that night with it on. I remember that, and I was not ashamed. It was that fast. I put my makeup on, put the wig on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love having this volume and this kind of hair. And I went out, and I was not ashamed, and I did it from that day on. And sure, I've had people ask, are you wearing a wig? How many wigs do you have? And frankly, it's up to you whether or not you want to answer those questions. I don't think it's anybody's business how many wigs I have. I'm honestly kind of ashamed of how many I have because it's caused me to go into a lot of debt to have them. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, in order for me to be a good content creator and to bring reviews your way and to bring new styles your way, I have to constantly be looking for new styles. And personally, I love the confidence and joy that a wig brings. So even though it's costing a fortune, I know how fast my life can be over. I guess that's how I look at things differently than everybody else. I come from a family that has a lot of health problems. I'm having health issues right now. My stomach's not digesting things properly. And it's been this way all week. And it's been very depressing. I have a migraine headache right now. I don't feel really good. But when I put on a wig and I put on makeup, there's something about it that just makes me feel better. And so that's how I look at it. I come from a family that's died young. My mom's 71, my dad's 62. My mom's 71, my dad's 69, my husband's 62. There's been a lot of death in my family, way before it should have been. And it's because of many different reasons. Strokes, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. The list goes on and on and on and on. And it's probably because of bad choices. It's probably because we're not vegan. It's probably because we don't eat vegetables every single day and a salad for breakfast, noon, and dinner. And we don't drink protein drinks. And we don't do everything that everybody says we should do. That's probably what it is. And a lot of that, is just the way I was raised. I was raised by parents that were raised in the 30s and 40s. Well, they were born in the 30s and 40s, and then they grew up in the 50s and 60s, and you ate all the stuff that now they say is bad for you. All the greasy food and all the stuff that's now bad for you, they ate that like there was nothing to it back then. And they raised me on that. And now it's very hard to get away from it. And so it's probably a lot of it is choices that we've made, I'll be honest. But a lot of it is not. Cancer cells grow in a lot of people. I'm concerned that I probably have them or will have them, something like that. I don't know. I take after my mom in a lot of ways. I have pretty much her same body style. So, there's a lot of things I could change. My whole problem is the depression sets in. The depression of being alone, of doing everything by yourself, of trying to stay happy. Trying to stay happy when it's just you. And that's very, very difficult. I mean, I had a husband who would take me out at night and we would go out dancing. We would go out and have a good time. We went on trips all the time. We took trips at least 4 times a year. And they weren't just 2-3 day weekend trips. We took a lot of those too. But we would take a lot of week-long vacations because my husband owned a timeshare. And so we could go all over the country if we wanted to with that timeshare. He had purchased a timeshare back in, I'm trying to think, what is the town? It was in Arkansas. He bought a timeshare back in the 80s in Arkansas on Fort, I can't even believe I can't remember the name right now. That's sad. Something with the bay. I'm sure it'll come to me. Something bay. And he purchased the timeshare when he was in his 20s. And of course, he and his exes and his family all went on those trips. But because of that, he did basically like a transfer through RCI. So he was able to put his timeshare up for other people to go visit in Fairfield Bay. That's it. It was in Fairfield Bay, Arkansas. He loved to golf. He owned a boat. He loved a boat. So he was everything. He liked to fish. He liked to fly fish. He liked to boat. He liked to be outdoors. He liked to camp. He loved everything about, the outdoors. The flowers, You know, he was a real outdoorsy kind of guy, super gentleman, super friendly, so fun, made you laugh constantly, and could do walking magic, could do all these jokes. And so anyway, he had this timeshare, and so he would put that on RCI so that other people could go to his timeshare and we could go to other people's timeshare. And in the 3 years that I was married to him, I was so blessed because we would take these like 9-10 day long trips. We went to Park City, Utah. We went to Steamboat Springs, Colorado several times. That was our favorite vacation spot. That is a ski resort area, and they have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful townhomes up there that are in the $1 million ranges, okay? And they were the nicest timeshare because we would have our own garage. It was just like a house. You had your own garage to pull the car into. Your backyard was the mountain view. I mean, it just beautiful. I mean, I was so blown away the first time he took me there. He took me to like a, I don't know, $2.5 million townhome that we got to stay in for that entire 10 day time frame. It was so much fun. And we had the house all to ourselves. It was just he and I, and it was, you know, we could go anywhere and we could see the mountains. And there was a hot tub on the deck, and, you know, the grill, and he loved to cook grills. He loved to cook steaks and all kinds of, so we went all over. I mean, unfortunately, I never got to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, which is where I wanted to go. We were actually going to stay at the Trump Towers. But I never got to go there because that was our next trip that we were actually going to plan when he had the heart attack. We were just talking about going there too, like a week before he had that heart attack, August 9th, 2017. And so that was kind of, because I really had wanted to go there. I hadn't been there, and I wanted to go there with him. And then we were going to plan a trip to like Washington, D.C., because I've never been to the East Coast. Really wanted to go to Florida. He had been to Florida many times, but I'd never gotten to go. And I've always wanted to go and visit. And so he was going to take me to Florida, to D.C., to Las Vegas. And we were going to stay in these really expensive resorts because he had the ability to do that for like $900 a year in maintenance fees. He was able to go anywhere in the world, trade with all these trading points. It's called trading points. And I had never experienced timeshares before, but I had always wanted to, and I got really lucky. So the places that we went to most often was Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We also went to Dillon, Colorado, the Ouray, Colorado area. We stayed there for a while. There was another place. We stayed several places in Colorado. Colorado was our go-to. We loved going there. We went there many, many times. I'm saying I probably went to Colorado probably 8 or 9 times, if not more. Beautiful, beautiful resorts, and every resort that we went to was at least $1 million. But it only cost him the price of the maintenance fee. That's the coolest part about it. When you're a timeshare owner, he was able to go to these super expensive places for like just a few $100s. Amazing. And the price of gas and food, and of course, all that, which I helped with. But we got to go, so I went to Park City, Utah, Steamboat Springs, Colorado, Dillon, Colorado, Ouray, several other places in Colorado I've been to. And then we also we drove through Kentucky a couple of times, but we did go, Branson, Missouri was his favorite spot to fish, and so we would go to Branson, Missouri a lot. We went on the showboat. So many things that we did. And then I'm trying to think where else. We went to Oklahoma a couple of times. We actually bought a car down there. We bought an SUV down there a couple of times in Oklahoma, but that's not far from where I'm at all. So that's like a hop, skip, and a jump. I mean, I can get to Oklahoma in a couple of hours from where I'm at. So that's just kind of a hop, skip, and a jump. But we had a lot of fun. Even though it was only 3 years, it was a lot of fun. It was the best fun that I've ever had in my life, and I miss it. And it's so hard not to be depressed because I don't have anybody like that I can go on a vacation with and have that much fun with. I just don't have that. Everybody's got their kids and their stuff, and nobody has time for me, and nobody even has the money to do those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm lucky, and I know I'm blessed, and I know I should just see it as, well, I was blessed to be able to do those things when I was able to do them. But I'm also sad and I'm jealous because there are so many people out there that are still doing that. And here I am. If I want to go on a trip, I have to go alone. or I have to go with somebody that's, not that much fun to be with or something. It's just unfair when other people can go on a trip all the time. And it makes me so jealous when I hear other women, oh, I'm going with my husband to the La Cantera Resort and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I mean, that's only something I can dream of now. I don't know if I'll ever have that again. And I'm sorry that I'm about to cry. It's just that I don't know if I'll ever have that again. I don't know if that's something I'll ever be able to experience again. I don't know. I'm afraid I won't. And so that's why, I guess what I'm trying to get back at, to the whole point of my rambling, it just helps to talk, you guys, is that life is short, and yeah, I've probably spent way too much on wigs, and I will probably be in debt for the rest of my life. You guys don't even want to know how much credit card debt I have. I will probably be in debt for the rest of my life because of my choices. But at the same time, I know with my kind of health conditions that I might not be around forever. And frankly, I don't know how much I care because I don't have children. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. I don't have anyone that's going to care about me being gone other than my two sisters. And I wish I could see them more often than I do. One is in California, and unfortunately I love her to pieces, and I wish she was here so that we could go on walks and do those kind of things. But my whole point of the matter is, with all the health complications that I have endured in my short 36 years of life, and they're getting worse because of the depression and the stress and the anxiety and the OCD and all the things that I have to deal with on a daily basis, it's like, I don't really care. My point is, I don't really care if I live to be 90 or 100 because I don't have a mother. I don't have a father. I have no children, no husband, and everybody that I love is gone and in heaven. And I miss them terribly. I'm running around working, 6 days a week, trying to pay all the bills, trying to do it all by myself, and my body is running out of fuel and out of steam. And I have to, being a customer service agent, I have to listen to, everybody else's problems, and there's really nobody else to listen to me. And so, for me and with me, I'm so glad I have you guys, and I'm so thankful to my sisters that my sisters encouraged me to start a YouTube channel, because it's now or never. I mean, I have wanted to do this for years. I should have started this years ago, but I just recently this year found out about wigs. And my point is, back to what I was originally saying, it does not matter what anybody thinks. Life is too short to care what anybody thinks. If people would get off of their high horses and realize that life is not all about one person. I think especially as women, there's so much stigmatism attached to the fact that we have to look a certain way, be a certain way, talk a certain way because of what magazines tell us and what people tell us, and it's just not true. We don't have to be everything to everybody. We shouldn't be out to impress everybody else and what everybody else thinks. I certainly don't. I think that it should come down to what makes you happy, what makes you feel good, because there's too much stress and too much anxiety into worrying about what other people think and what other people do. And, I'm just tired of living my life for what other people think and what other people do, because that's not really what matters. I think what matters is when you put a wig on, and this is why I love wigs and why I have spent as much money as I have on them, because when I put a wig on, something changes in me, and I can be having the worst day or feeling terrible, but when I put that wig on, it just brings a smile to my face. It makes me look like a totally different person. It makes me look like the person I wish I was. It makes me look like the person I was back when I had a full head of hair 10 years ago, before everybody in my family was dead and gone. It's hard, and people say, well, just go out and, talk to your, go out and do karaoke or go out to the bar. You know what? I don't want to go out to the bar because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to end up meeting somebody or finding somebody that's going to treat me like dirt. And I have been treated like that my entire life until James come along. I have been treated like dirt, called every kind of bad name a woman should ever be called because of my weight, because of who I am. And I don't want to go back to the bar scene, because that's where the guys that are disrespectful tend to hang out. And I don't mean to be judgmental, but that's been what I have seen. People get drunk, people do stupid things, okay? I'm not going to put it lightly. It happens. And that's just not a good place to meet people. Unfortunately, I've gotten away from the church family for years and years and years. I was heavily into the church for most of my young years. In fact, my mother was a Sunday school teacher for about 16 years. And then, I don't know, she had some big, huge falling out. And when she had the falling out, I fell out with her and I never went back, sadly. That's really sad. I hate to say that, because I used to be full-time involved with the church. I mean, we're talking, I used to sing in the choir. I used to be full-time involved with the church. But when my mom got into this big ordeal, because, again, a bunch of judgmental people decided that they didn't want her teaching anymore, because they wanted people teaching that had kids in Sunday school. And because her kid was grown, at the time I was like 16, and mind you, she started teaching when I was like 4 years old. Because I was grown, they didn't want her to be teaching anymore. They didn't want her to be able to teach what she wanted to teach. And mind you, she had all these years of seniority in the Sunday school teaching. And then somebody just came in and decided, well, because, we have parents whose kids are little, they need to be teaching. And because Ruth is older, more of a grandma age at that time, because she was in her 50s, that she needed to just quit teaching. So she quit. She got upset. She got hurt because she had put so many years in of teaching the Sunday school. And then they were like, well, we don't want you anymore. We want parents who have kids in Sunday school. So there's just been a lot throughout my life that I've struggled with. And I don't know why. I don't know why my life has turned out the way I am. I've tried to do the right thing. I've tried to do good things for people. I give to the homeless as much as I can. I try to do as many good things as I can. But yet, I still have a lot of problems in my life. And I think most of the problem is financial. Because every time I get out of debt, somehow, immediately I get right back into it. And I've been bailed out I don't know how many times. And I still get right back into it. And it's OCD. It's a mental disorder that you cannot control. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to go on 1,500 medications to try to help the situation, because I think I'm not an advocate for that. The reason why I'm not an advocate for that is because every time I have ever taken any kind of medication for any length of time, it makes me druggy, it makes me slow, it makes me feel like I'm out of this world. And with my job and as high energy as it is, and as much as my brain has to try to stay sharp, which is I'm struggling with, that is hard to do when you're on a bunch of medications that's making you feel like this all the time, like you're going to fall asleep. I'm sorry, but that is what medication does. And unless you have the privilege of staying home to work at home, which I don't, unless you have that privilege, it's very difficult to take medication, work a 10-hour shift where you got to talk to people all day long, and stay focused, stay mentally alert, stay mentally awake. It's really difficult, okay? And so I'm not one of those, and that's what everybody would say, well, go see a psychiatrist and then they'll put you on medicine. Yeah, that's going to drug me up. I don't think so, because I'm drugged up enough with the depression and sadness that I have to deal with. And, I just have to force myself every day to get out of bed, put on the makeup, and go about my day. Because it's not easy, and it's especially not easy when you hear everybody else is having a good time. And of course, I know that everybody's life's not rosy, and I understand that. But it's like, if everybody's having a good time, everybody's talking about the life I had with James, okay? And that's what upsets me more than anything else, is the fact that everybody's talking about the life I had with James. A lot of people are still experiencing that life, and the ones that I'm most jealous of are the ones that have had it for 20, 30, 40 years and they still have it. They're not dealing with the depression that I am. They're not dealing with going to a restaurant and eating by yourself because you don't have anybody that truly cares. They're not dealing with the depression of going about your day-to-day life knowing you may never take another trip again to one of those kind of places or to any place unless you want to go alone. And it's really hard to deal with. It's hard for me to be happy for others. I know we're supposed to be. But it's very hard for me to be happy for others when you hear the person that has their mother until they're 90 years old. And I'm 36 without a mother. And then somebody else is 60 and their mother's 90 and they still have their mother. So when they're having digestive problems like I am right now, they can call their mother and talk to her about it. I don't have that. I'm guessing at the hands of doctors that probably don't even know what they're doing because all they care about is their freaking money. I have a very bad attitude about doctors because they're very rich. They have so much money, and half the time I feel like all they care about is their money and not the patient. They'll run you through every kind of test imaginable to say you don't have anything or we don't know what the problem is. And we know there's cures for cancer, but you know why they don't want to cure people that have cancer, you guys? Because that would take away the money from the pharmaceutical departments. These people are getting rich off of us that are dying and getting sicker and sicker. And I'm sorry I feel this way, but I have felt this way for a long time. You want to know why I have a problem going to a doctor? Because I feel like they just run a bunch of tests, get a bunch of money, and then say, well, we really don't know what's wrong with you. Well, we really don't know. I've seen it over and over and over with my grandmothers, with my mother, with my father, and even with my husband. Clear up till the day before he died. Guess what? We went to the doctor, and guess what they said? Guess what they said? They said, oh, well, you've got a kidney stone, and if that kidney stone doesn't get better in a few days, come back and we'll have to remove it. What happens? He goes home, and he dies the next day from a heart attack, because guess what? They didn't do the right tests. They ran the tests on the kidney. He complained he was throwing up. He complained. He said, I'm throwing up, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And you know what they did? They ran a test on the kidney and said, yep, you have kidney stones. That's what's causing all your pain. If this doesn't get better in a couple of days, come back. Well, the couple of days never came. He died the next day. I went to work. I came home and found him gone. The kidney stone might have been part of the problem, but guess what the worst problem was? The fact that he was about to have a heart attack, and that's what all the throwing up was. And the fact that I was stupid and didn't call 911 immediately. And the fact that I was stupid and didn't say, we have to go to the emergency room. Because I didn't realize, I thought that the throwing up meant that it was, he was throwing up because of the pain of the kidney stones. That's what I thought. I had no clue he was about to have a heart attack. And he was very stubborn. He didn't want to go to the doctors either. He had to be reeling in pain before he would go see a doctor. Because he didn't want to hear the bad news, didn't want to hear shit. And I understand. I'm the same way. I have heard bad news since like the day I came out of my mother's womb. And I'm tired of it. It's like every time I turn around, what's the next bad news? What's the next bad news? It's like I wait for bad news. I'm just sitting and waiting for the next bad news. The next call that somebody's died, or the next phone call that something horrible has happened and I can't do nothing about it. It's been this way my whole life. It's a sad way to live. And that's why wigs and makeup bring me a little bit of peace, a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness. And that's what I really need in my life. I don't need criticism. I don't care what other people think. If people are so concerned about what other people think, you're going to live a short life, I can guarantee it. Because you're so concerned about what other people think instead of your own happiness. And what really matters is your own happiness. It doesn't matter what Joe Blow down the street thinks. I'm sorry. I know I'm on a soapbox, but it does not matter what that person thinks, because in the end, that person cannot bring you happiness. If you're so worried about what somebody thinks instead of wearing the wig or wearing the makeup because somebody thinks you're wearing a wig, I think it's sad, and I'm not going to live my life like that. I refuse to. That's why the first day I put on a wig, I went out and I was proud of it and I rocked it and I was happy about it. And if somebody said, "Are you wearing a wig?" I say, "Yeah, I'm wearing a wig. Thank you for asking." Simple as that. I said, "Yes, I am wearing a wig. Thank you for asking." Most people just thought I had my hair cut or colored. And for the longest time, I let them think that. I'd say, "Well, thank you. I'm glad you like my haircut." As simple as that. And it works. Because when you say that, Then they're like, oh, okay. And then as I started wearing more and more styles, it kind of became like, oh, well, you must be wearing wigs. Are you wearing wigs? Yes, I'm wearing a wig. Thank you for asking. Well, how many wigs do you have? And sometimes I joke and say, well, you know, many more than I should have, or, you know, too many to talk about. Or I'll throw my husband's little phrase out there. I don't want to talk about it. That was the one he always used. So if somebody says, well, how many wigs do you have? I'll use his little joking and I'll say, well, I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk later. We'll talk later on that subject. I don't want to talk about it. He always said that, and I loved it. And I remember those phrases, and it helps me because I'll say that, well, I don't want to talk about it. He had so many fun phrases. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry I rambled on and on for like 30 minutes here. I just appreciate you guys listening and your support of this channel. It helps me to get my thoughts out and to talk to you guys, and it helps give me a little bit of peace knowing that I have friends out there that care and are praying for me. And again, like I said, I love wigs. I love them for many reasons. I think they're wonderful, and I just think it's something we should not be ashamed about. If it makes you feel good and it makes you feel beautiful, that's all that really, really matters. And I love this style, by the way, you guys. She's a beauty, and I love the little clip. I think that just clips make hair, any kind of wig, look natural, because somebody sees a clip in your hair and they're not going to think, oh, wig. You know, people just think, well, she pulled her hair back, and that's what I like. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.